Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. This series I am once again joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are sharing our experience reading The Way of Kings for the first time. Each episode we will summarize what we've read and discuss the experience along the way.
This is Storming the Archives, The Way of Kings, and today we discuss Chapter 59.
Chapter 59!
An Honor. Chapter 59. An Honor. Kaladin along with Teft and Lopen try to figure out how to activate his powers to no success. They've spent a week working on it. Kaladin is frustrated that the stories Teft tells seem to contradict each other. Teft cautions Kaladin that even though he can drink in Stormlight, that doesn't make him a Radiant. Kaladin needs to take seriously the oath of the Radiants: life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination. Kaladin greatly mistrusts authority, even the Radiants. Hashal approaches the bridge crew. Kaladin inquires as to whether or not Gaz is all right, to which she responds, no. Hashal informs the bridge crew that they are too good not to be used, and that henceforth they will remain on call for each bridge run and will have to scavenge at night. While Teft and Lopen complain about the need to hurry their plans along, Kaladin starts to glow. Syl says it happened when he breathed in. Kaladin ominously tells Teft he intends to do something about the change in duty today. In the chasm, Kaladin hands training over to the bridgemen. Teft asks if he wants an escort and calls him Sir, which Kaladin finds odd, but appropriate. As he passes by the remains of soldiers, he thinks of this place as hallowed ground. He contemplates the afterlife and whether or not bridgemen would be called to run bridges, even in death. Kaladin hears a nagging voice in the back of his head, telling him that he can't just escape with Bridge 4, leaving the rest of the bridge crews to their deaths. He inhales Stormlight and revels in the energy he feels, trying but failing to walk on the wall. Kaladin sends Syl to get Lopen. Then he starts cutting apart Parshendi corpses and gathering the pieces. Once everything is gathered, Syl leads them to another part of the chasm. On the way, they have to hide from a chasm fiend. Once it moves on, Kaladin uses a bunch of fist-sized rocks and his newfound powers to create handholds along the wall. He holds his breath for a good quarter of an hour. Now at the top of the chasm, Kaladin uses the rope to lift the items they'd gathered. Kaladin contemplates how best to get down while also keeping the rope hidden. Syl insists that if he drops down the chasm, he'd be fine. After some convincing, Kaladin drops. Fear floods through him at first, then his emotions calm down. He instinctually knows what to do, and lands safely in a burst of Stormlight. He instructs Lopen to grab the bundle on their next bridge run, and give it to him before the final assault. Let's start with the epigraph, shall we? Above the final void I hang, friends behind, friends before. The feast I must drink clings to their faces, and thus the words I must speak spark in my mind. The old oaths will be spoken anew. Dated Beta Bannon 1173, 45 seconds pre-death. Subject, a light-eyed child of 5 years. Diction improved remarkably when giving sample. So, a couple of things jumped out at me in this one. The diction improved remarkably tells me that it is not the person who dies speaking. It is someone speaking through them.
Yeah, it confirms it.
Yes.
That it confirms our suspicion that it was somebody speaking through them.
Yes. And the whole of the death rattle itself invokes, I think, where the heralds go and what they are subject to in between desolations, and I think this is possibly one of the heralds about to be called back to the world to stop a desolation.
Okay.
The old oaths will be spoken anew. The words I must speak in my mind, the old oaths will be spoken anew. Or it's talking about a new cycle with new heralds.
Yes, that's what I was thinking, because the oath pact was broken. It was ended. It was over. So old oaths would then be spoken anew when new heralds come.
Yeah. Or it's
remember,
foreshadowing.
We were also wondering.
Go on.
Remember, we were talking about last week. We were talking about whether these are prophetic or do they just show the whole cycle that should happen. You know, does it Is it telling us what is going to happen, what has happened exclusively? Don't know.
Agreed. We never get a conversation with Sigzil about Hoyd.
We don't. I'd never say never.
I mean, in this chapter, we never get that.
Yeah.
We'll get that conversation eventually, I have
Mm,
no doubt. That's not the kind of thing you just drop. But
yeah.
I'm surprised we didn't get it, like, right after.
Yeah, I guess he's distracted now. He's just trying to unlock his powers. Or maybe he did have the conversation and will have a reflection on having had it at some point.
That would rub me as strange, not gonna lie. And keep in mind,
Yeah.
every day Kaladin doesn't have that conversation with him is a day Sigzil is in inner turmoil over not being a full world singer.
Yeah. And what his master will think of him, and yeah.
Uncool Kaladin.
And also, what do world singers know about the Radiance and things like that?
Ooh,
Like they
yeah.
still they
I
still
bet a
have
lot.
stories. Yeah.
So Kaladin, Teft, and Lopen are all working diligently apart from the group who are undergoing some training.
Mm-hmm.
And they've been going at it for like, what, a week now or so?
Mm.
I really liked the passage. He commanded it, willed it, begged it. Nothing happened. Because those are all three very different psychic attempts.
Yeah. Different approaches to something. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the first things you think is when you're dealing with magic, you have to feel it in some way. There is a psychic element to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It has to be something that you do in your mind.
Yeah.
His conversation, just the way he has silly ideas, silly excuses. Like I'm like, "Ugh, I was so dismissive of them. I'm like, are we done having this conversation now? Maybe it's this. Maybe it was just a trick of the light. Get over yourself.
Yeah. Like, we've already gone through that, Kaladin. You've already accepted. Just
Yeah.
keep at it.
Mm,
Stop putting out obvious non-answers.
mm. Yeah. It's like if Teft suddenly said, you know what, you're right, he would be like, what?
Yeah.
He's just talking crap.
You would never accept that kind of thinking when it comes to saving
Mm,
the bridge crew, so why would you accept it for yourself?
mm,
And Taft has a few good barbs in there. That you're like a baby making his legs work. At first it just kind of happens slowly. He figures out how to make them move on purpose. You just need to practice. I've spent a week staring at spheres, Taft. How much practice can it take? Well, more than you've had, obviously.
I
Very
love
funny.
that. Yeah, I love that so much. It's like, yeah, well, not enough. Let's continue.
Yep. And then Kaladin points out some of the contradictions in the story. Why would they need to fly if they can walk on walls or if they could teleport? Essentially, vast differences. Look, there are, not all problems can be solved by a hammer. Sometimes you need to
Mm-hmm.
walk on a wall, sometimes you need to fly.
Who knows? But also, yeah, when legends are passed down, things get conflated. Things get in like they get twisted a bit. So it could seem
Hmm.
like they're flying because they are lashing themselves to the walls and things like that. So it looks like they're flying from one to the other, and then
Hmm.
the teleportation is just, well, they move really fast.
Yeah.
That doesn't make it impossible. It doesn't change anything. You still can
Yeah.
do special things, bro.
Yep. We get a very important interaction. The Radiant sitting in this room is very, very tired of the color brown. You're not a Radiant, lad. Weren't we just talking about, oh, you can infuse, you can drink in the stormlight and command it, but being a Radiant was more than that. It was their way of life, the things they did, the immortal words. And essentially we learn partly what we already know: life before death,
Mm,
strength before weakness, journey before destination. But then we get that different sects of the Radiance had a final
yeah,
saying that was different per sect.
yeah. The first ideal was for everyone, though, for all of them.
Yes, and Teft explains that these ideas are essentially imparted into what I am presuming to be the Way of Kings. I don't know if you got
Yes.
that or not. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. Okay, great. So here's the thing: the most important words a man can say can't possibly then be those first three: life before death, journey before destination, and the other one. If those, this are in the Way of Kings, then surely Dalinar would have come across them, right? Although we've never heard him think these three phrases.
Yeah. Oh no, where did we get this from? We did have this
It's
in
in
his
this
vision.
chapter. Teft, did he? Did
Didn't
Dalinar?
no, we've had the journey before destination, all of that? Where did that come? We've had that before. We've encountered all that oath.
In the Kaladin POVs, absolutely. Sigzil brought it up, I think, first.
Okay.
I don't remember if we've ever had those words specifically in a Dalinar POV, but in this chapter, Teft, there was some old king who came up with all this, had his wife write it in a book or something. And that, I had presumed, was the Way of Kings. And
Mm-hmm.
therefore, we know Dalinar has read the Way of Kings. So either the women reading it to him are leaving the oaths out, although I doubt
Mm-hmm.
that's the case because I think Yasna read it to him.
Mm-hmm.
That would indicate that he must know the words, unless for some reason he wrote this entire book dedicated to these words without actually writing the words, which would be weird.
Yeah,
I've
and there's
kind of
also
lost track of what I'm saying here.
well, the radiance based the ideals on what was written there. So the first what do they call it, the immortal words, like their first ideal, right? The first ideal came from the Way of Kings, but it doesn't necessarily state that the Way of Kings does have the rest of the ideals in it, because here's my reasoning: the radiance based the ideals on what was written there. So
Okay.
you basing it on what's written there, you don't need to have the other ideals. It's just the first one maybe came from there.
Okay, so then two questions. I mean, how common knowledge are these phrases? Sigzil knew it, but he's not the most common, but I don't think he's the most uncommon. And then naturally, Teft is part of a secret sect.
Mhm.
So what happens if we presume Dalinar doesn't know these words, which I frankly still think is kind of a stretch, although I hear what you're saying, and it's a powerful argument. What does Dalinar do when he learns these phrases?
Mm. I can do a search here and see to see where we do find it
You mean search in the in your
in the
Kindle?
book. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Feel free to go ahead and do that. But I mean, if nothing else, we know that Dalinar is coming to these words, these conclusions naturally through the
Hmm.
lessons in the Way of Kings,
Yeah.
even if the Way of Kings doesn't have the words specifically written, which I think is by design. And it's a very, very clever thing of Sanderson's that he's exploring coming to these words naturally through the ideals. And then we've got Kaladin coming to the ideals in part through the words or gathering strength from the words. Does that make sense?
Sorry, I've just found it. This is why I thought that Dalinar did have this. He's talking about this is he's having a vision,
Mm-hmm.
and he hears life before death. What was that voice? He glanced back across the chasm towards Sadius. Well outside Bo's Rage, it's actually not a vision. He's just having it was when they were doing that hunt. Sorry, hold on. How could a man enjoy this? The odd sickness faded. Sorry, let me just check which chapter this is so you can look. It is. Come on. Gosh. It's Stillness, chapter 26. So he actually hears this words, life before death, as in the voice. So he's heard this, life before death, strength before
Okay.
weakness, journey before destination. Where else was that? That was then it's Sigzil, I suppose, who says it. He looked down, brown skin and light. It was their motto, parts of it at least, life before death. So he said it. That was when we had the full one. But yeah, the reason that I thought, Dalinar has heard some of this is the life before death. Is in a vision. So he had that.
All right. I'll
Hmm.
review chapter 26 this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the point is, yeah, he could still get those lessons, like you said, get the lessons from the book anyway, because that's what the Radiants, I suppose, did. Is they took the first ideal from there, and then they created, they went further with it, and they made their sects from it.
Yeah. But moving on,
Mhm.
there's a conversation about the Radiance being tied to religion. Teft says, well, aren't all things connected to religion? And Kaladin has that common mistrust of the Ardentia being in power, and Teft argues, well, I mean, they'd be about as bad as the Light Eyes, wouldn't they? You think anyone would be doing better? And
Fair point.
exactly, fair point. Kaladin says, the devotaries and the Ardents shouldn't hold land or property, it's too dangerous. Teft snorted, why, you think they'd be worse at being in charge than the Light Eyes? And Kaladin responds, well, you've probably got a point there. At that point, Hashal comes up.
Ugh.
Can't stand her.
Mm-hmm.
Is Gaz okay? What happened to Gaz?
Nah, no, he's not. I mean, he literally asked her if Gaz is okay, and she said no, and that's it. There was no further explanation. Is he
Right?
well? No. That's it. That was all the answer that was given.
So, look, what are the options here? I see two possibilities. One, his gambling debts uh,
Caught up with
ended
him.
up in, yeah, caught up with him. That's the phrase. Or they're waiting for the right time, and as soon as there aren't enough people to carry the bridge in Bridge 4, they're going to return Gaz as a bridgeman.
Mm. I don't know. I think he's probably dead. But no, I suppose no. That we don't have. We just have no. Yeah. Why not? We still want Gaz to be a bridgeman.
Yeah. I want redemption arc for Gaz. And then Hashal basically tells them, so you're going to do chasm duty at night, and you're too good not to use on every bridge run, so we're going to use you on every bridge run.
So we're just going to drastically, exponentially increase your chances of dying. Thank you. Goodbye. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Love it.
I forget when it happens, but at some point in this chapter, we also learn that there are still soldiers who try to scope out Kaladin, see the guy that survived the high storm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they haven't forgotten about him.
Yeah.
This thing about being on chasm duty at night, I'm like, hello, that actually helps you escape.
I agree.
It's nighttime, but they don't want to escape anytime soon. They're not ready to. Which I'm still in the idea that I think they're just going to be forced to escape quicker. Although I don't
Right.
know what's going on with this armor that well, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But the big thing is Kaladin has to move up the timeline at this point because
Yeah.
they cannot wait around any
Mm.
longer. It's basically now or never.
Yeah.
And it's a good thing he figured out his power to a degree just in time.
Mm-hmm. Just thinking of later things, yeah.
Yep. So down in the chasm we go. Kaladin has them working on their stuff,
Formations.
their formations, yes, getting them prepared to follow orders. So they're still not quite good enough for real battle, but they're getting there.
There's something.
Yep. And then we get the exchange. Sir, Teft called. Kaladin hesitated. When had Teft started calling him Sir? Odd how right that felt. Yes? So they're starting to treat him like a real commander, and it feels
Mm.
right to him.
Like in the beginning, when we viewed Kaladin on the battlefield, there were those, his fellows were older than him as well, and they did call him Sir. So it's back into that pattern. Like
Yeah.
definitely people that died in his team, the you always remember his name. I always forget it, but the guy that took the youngin under his wing initially, that guy died. think his name was with
Sen
a
and
D.
Dalit.
Yeah, Dalit. And I think he was older. So yeah, having older people respect him is
It's
something
big.
that's happened to him before. Yeah.
Yeah. But also, Taft offers him an escort. And it really speaks to it's cementing the, I guess, hierarchy. That's not quite the right word,
Mm.
though, but the power structures, in a
Yeah.
way, within Bridge 4.
And the respect. The respect he's gained as well. Yeah.
Kaladin heads out, into the chasms led by Syl, and he has some moments of introspection as he walks along the corpses. He thinks of this place as hallowed ground, and he starts thinking about the nature of, I guess it's the Vorin religion, the callings, when those who excel at their callings, be it as a soldier or a farmer or whatever, they're called upon to do that in the afterlife. And he
Mm.
thinks like this is such a hell on earth for them. He's almost afraid that Dunny is in the afterlife running bridges, and
Yeah.
he contemplates the afterlife, and he questions
Yeah,
his faith.
it seems like the callings are things of higher up people. Their privileges, actually.
Hmm.
What happens to people that don't have these higher callings? It's yeah, it's not. He's struggling with that idea.
Yeah. And then he's got that voice whispering in the back of his mind. He has to help all of the bridge crews, not just his own. He cannot live with himself if he gets Bridge 4 out, but not the rest. And he's also telling himself, no, if I find a way out, I have to go.
Yeah,
But the voice
he
keeps
can't
fighting
save
back.
everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then he replays what his father has said, which is someone has to start. He did what he felt was right because someone had to start. Someone had to take the first step. And as he's doing that, the sphere in his hand goes done. He has taken in Stormlight.
mm. That's when he realized. Okay, he had breathed deeply. That's when he realized. Oh, okay, that's how I did it. I breathed in.
Yes. Yep. And doing so grants him immense energy. So much energy that he tries to walk up the walls and fails.
Yeah, he doesn't do lashing. He just runs at the wall, and Soul laughs at him.
Yeah, and she gets
Um,
an interesting line if you want to read it. Syl walked on air, stepping as if down a set of stairs.
I don't think you're ready for that yet. Don't be so risky. If you die, I go stupid again, you know?
I'll try to keep that in mind. Maybe I'll remove dying from my list of tasks to do this week. It's a cute exchange.
Yeah, very cute exchange, but it's like, yeah, you listen, without you, I don't have my soul somehow. I don't have my consciousness. So, hey, take care of yourself.
Yeah. Although, do you feel like the phrase go stupid is a little modern for the book?
No, it's just a young girl speaking. That feels like no, I don't think it's bad. Stupid.
That's fair.
Stupid's in the Bible. There's stupid in the Bible. Yeah.
Fair. He grabs a knife and he starts hacking away at some of the Parshendi. He's pulling apart the armor, and he realizes firsthand that the armor is part of their body.
Mm. Yep. Held on with ligaments that are blue.
Yep. And he sends Syl to go get Lopin, and she doesn't like appearing to other people.
But she can.
Yeah. So she goes and gets him, and he thinks to himself, I'd better be right about this. And what on earth? And there's even a part about finally came a series of deep red bones. What on earth is he planning with these Parshendi corpses? I I wondered if he's considering trying to accomplish a Parshman rebellion. Like if he places all of the viscera and what have you at a place, maybe it'll set all of the Parshmen into a frenzied rage and start attacking the soldiers, and then maybe we just get, a Spartacus style slave rebellion. But who's to say that the Parshmen wouldn't also attack the Bridgemen? And then I don't think it's quite that, because they're going to make use of them at the final plateau assault. So, Lopin calls out the possibility that they're going to use the Parshendi armor as armor, because
Mm-hmm.
Sadius won't let them do that. I sincerely have no clue what Kaladin's plan could be.
Well, the whole thing is just I didn't think of this when I was first reading because that's exactly initially I was like I don't know what the plan is, but as we read a little bit now and we spoke, I was thinking, okay, well the Parshendi they stay away from their dead, okay, or they the dead bodies are a big deal to them, so I don't know, maybe wearing the armor, I suppose wearing the skin of the Parshendi will make them not even that they don't want to shoot arrows at somebody who's wearing that because that's like
The only reason that I barely considered that and then threw it away really quickly is doing that feels extremely disrespectful to me, and I
so it
imagine
would
the
make them go
Parshendi
mad.
would exactly go mad and then focus on Bridge 4 rather than ignore
Mm-hmm.
them.
Yeah, yeah. That is the other way that it could go.
Yeah. So Lopin arrives and he's got all of the equipment that they've been stashing, and Kaladin gathers a bunch of rocks with Lopin and he starts sticking them to the wall, and he rock climbs his way up and out of the chasm, yeah?
Yeah, very
Oh,
cool, very
but
clever.
before
But I was
that,
like, yeah,
but even before that, there's a chasm fiend that they hide from.
yeah. They just keep silent and get away from them, get away from it. Earlier on, the escort was supposed to be to help, against a chasm feed. It was like, but Kaladin was like, well, there's not really chasm fiends around. They're already killed and everything. So that's obviously not true. And as well, yeah, it wouldn't have helped much anyway. So I'm glad they
Yeah.
obviously just kept quiet. But that means chasm fiends are around. Then maybe they can use that in some way. Hmm.
Yes.
Diversion. Hmm.
Yep. And then he does the rock thing, and I cut you off. You were talking about how cool it was, I think.
Yeah, it's cool, but as soon as I'm like, I was thinking about how long those rocks were going to last, and it's like, okay, so he has a plan on getting down, right? But he didn't. He didn't exactly have one.
I mean, I imagine he could do what he did, but in reverse. All you need are
Yeah,
like 3 bricks. Then you can step down, maybe.
yeah.
Hard to say.
Hmm.
But he does it by really focusing on the words, or at least he starts it off by focusing on the words
Mm.
of the Radiance. And
Also, there's a lovely exchange with Lopin about you'd follow a crazy man into battle because he's saying you're crazy.
mm,
Because it's like, have you lost your wits that you're doing this? But I really like Lopin. He goes, if you're crazy, you're a good type, and I like you. Not a killing people in their sleep kind of crazy. Besides, we all follow crazies all the time. Do it every day with the light eyes. I really love him. I really don't want him to die. I'm getting
I like
scared.
Lopin. Yeah, I
Yeah.
like him a lot. And
Mm.
it's noteworthy that Kaladin realizes that holding his breath is something that he
Mm.
can do, and we learn for the first time, because I don't think it was explicitly stated in any of the Zeth chapters, but he can hold his breath for an extended duration. He was holding it for
Yeah.
like some 15 minutes.
That's crazy. Yeah. Exactly. So it
Mm-hmm.
sustains him in some way.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he could improve that. That's something that like he would have a level of fitness eventually that he could go longer and longer.
Yeah. And then we get an excellent exchange that brought me back to when I called out that Kaladin never apologized to Syl.
Mm-hmm.
If we can read the exchange. Basically, he has climbed up, he's gotten the stuff stashed up and out of the chasm, and he's trying to figure out how to drop back into the chasm without leaving the rope.
Mm-hmm.
And Syl tells him that he should drop, and Kaladin responds, "That's a 40-foot drop. I'd break bones at the very least."
No, I feel right about this, Kaladin. You'll be fine. Trust me.
Trust you? Syl, you've said yourself that your memory is fractured,
You insulted me the other week.
she said, folding her arms.
I think you owe me an apology.
I'm supposed to apologize by cutting a rope and dropping 40 feet?
No, you apologize by trusting me. I told you, I feel right about this.
So I was so glad that there was a payoff to that non-apology.
Yeah, that he didn't apologize and like, this is how you apologize by trusting me. Oh, so cute.
Very much so. And then he does it and he superhero poses on the way down and he slams the ground and explodes in a burst of light.
Really cool.
Yep.
I'm glad Lopin gets to see that, before he dies. Because I'm scared he's going to die.
Like 10 crashes of thunder on the mounts, Gancho.
Yeah, very good.
Then he tells Lopin to make sure he grabs the sack before their next bridge run, or on their next bridge run, rather. Make sure no one sees him, and he's like, I'm a cripple, and I'm a bridgeman. No one's gonna see me. And then Kaladin instructs him to give it to him right before the last assault. Or plateau run.
Which is like, okay, what are we doing?
Yeah, I spent all week trying to figure out what are the options, what's the plan here, and I genuinely cannot think. I considered him like tossing all of the stuff at their own soldiers, but like what's that gonna accomplish? I don't think he's willing to turn on Sadius's soldiers, and I don't see how that's gonna help them. Like it's not gonna give them an opportunity to defect to the Parshendi. If that were an option, they probably might have tried to take it a long time ago. Again, I don't think they can wear the armor, and the fact that he's hacking them apart means he's not like returning corpses to them for burial. So he's clearly going to try to instigate them in some way. I just don't know how or why or to what effect.
I'm scared.
Me too. Anything else to say?
No, except like the video.
If you like. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kitty if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel. And we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks, bye.
Bye.